And the AP Top 25 preseason poll was released earlier today, and like the coaches poll, Alabama will begin the season as the top team in the country and will hope to stay there if they can beat Florida State, who, like the coaches poll, comes in at number 3 according to the writers. A remarkable Week 1 matchup that could have playoff implications come December. Let's talk more Tide now with Marq Burnett, who covers Alabama for SEC Country. And Mark, I think it's interesting to see how Nick Saban has handled this role of being the hunted. How have you seen him in that role and trying to help his team stay focused year in and year out?
Yeah, I think he completely understands what it takes to be at the top. He experienced that at LSU. He's obviously experienced it for the last 10 years here at Alabama. I think it starts with, letting the players know that each year is a reset. It's not, not focusing on what last year's team did or what teams did 2 or 3 years ago. It's all about this team and establishing the identity of this team and sort of working to build towards becoming a more complete team, building that leadership and also building that team chemistry throughout the year and throughout the offseason.
Mark, I know you saw the article that CBS put together here a week or so ago where they surveyed some coaches throughout college football, and they rated a number of them that Nick Saban was one of the more overrated head coaches in college football. He was on the Dan Patrick Show today and actually agreed with that assessment. Would you agree that he's one of the most overrated in the game?
I definitely wouldn't agree with that, and I think Saban was probably being a little too humble there. Obviously, he does have a point. Maybe he does get a little bit too much credit for the overall success, but at the same time, if you look at the one constant that's been here during this entire run, it's been Nick Saban. Alabama has changed, offensive coordinators, changed defensive coordinators, but they've managed to stay at the top despite the overall turnover that they have every single year in the program. So Saban's definitely, not overrated. You could even make the case that he's a bit underrated given this run. I mean, to win 4 championships in 8 years, to dominate the SEC like Alabama has under him. I don't know if we'll ever see a run like this again on the SEC or even a national level.
Somebody has to be making those moves, right? Nick Saban's done a great job at it. We're 2 weeks away, as you know, from the opener. What are the biggest remaining questions in your mind for the Crimson Tide?
Yeah, 2 things at this point. Start on the offense, the right side of the offensive line. We've seen a bit of a rotation, still the competition going on at right tackle. Matt Womack, rising redshirt sophomore, and Jedrick Wills, an incoming freshman who got here this summer, are the 2 guys competing for that spot. And also on the defensive side of the ball, just looking at the defensive line depth, Alabama has a lot to replace on that side of the ball, losing guys like Jonathan Allen and Dalvin Tomlinson, Ryan Anderson, and Tim Williams, and those guys. How is that depth going to come along? And does Alabama have enough horses to be able to consistently stop the run and also get after the passer like they've been able to the last 2 years?
All right, Mark, great summary there from you at Alabama, and appreciate the insight, and thanks for being with us here on Campus Insiders.
All right, thanks, man.